So how typical do you think? I mean, we don't have any statistics, but how typical do you think it is, especially in a wrongful death suit, for
Settlements to happen?
settlements? Yes.
Probably 80% of the time.
Hmm.
Um, and that is typical of most civil litigations. For the most part, they end in settlement. And that is beneficial to both sides. Because as I said, time and money holds true for plaintiff as well as defendant. Because
Mm-hmm.
not all the time are you successful in a lawsuit if
Right.
you're a plaintiff. And even when you're successful, it's not always written in stone that your legal fees are actually going to come out of the settlement, you know, that somebody else is going to pay your legal fees. Most of the time, you have to pay your lawyer from whatever you receive in court. So,
Which is like half your money
a
once you get to
majority of
that
the
point.
time, the lawyers are the ones that make out with the majority of the cash. Because you're talking, if something actually settles, especially, well, not if it settles. Let's say you take this through to judgment. So you get a judgment. That's not an automatic payday because the defendant is going to appeal.
Right.
Right? So you take something to appeal. How many of us know that lawyers get a bigger chunk?
Because this shit continues.
Right. And not only that, most lawyers who are trial lawyers are not appellate lawyers. So basically what happens is
New
they
set
have
of
to,
lawyers.
right, they have to bring other lawyers in, or they farm out, you know. So
Mhm.
when all is said and done, you wind up paying the first set of lawyers, then the second set of lawyers, and then you get what's left. And most people, when they go to court for something like this, they don't pay up front. Everything is contingent on you winning. So
Mhm.
you don't pay to file the lawsuit. You don't pay for copies or anything. So in the end, there's an accountant, an accounting of everything. So every legal fee, every court fee that was paid by the lawyers, they recoup that. Every time some paralegal made copies of something, they
Mhm.
recoup that.
See, and as far as lawyers making out too, the same can be said when we look at class action lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
And you see some of these class action lawsuits,
Mm-hmm.
like I think in a previous episode we talked about the mesothelioma over
Right.
at the shipyards.
Right.
But you look at these companies, and especially with big pharma, these settlements they'll be like, there's a $500 million settlement
Right.
for this class. Then these people get their checks in the mail. They get their little $8, $9, $10, but the lawyers walk away with like
Hundreds of millions.
$300 million.
Because in those cases, the lawyers' fees, there's a fund that's specifically set up. Like if you look at the settlement documents,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be like the court approved attorney fees for this amount of money.
Right.
And when you think about it, you actually have a situation where every lawyer that touched this thing, when you have a class action lawsuit like that, think about, so let's say the mesothelioma.
Mm-hmm.
In the state of Louisiana, how many advertisements do you see about mesothelioma?
A lot.
All right. So you ever heard of you ever seen one from Sokoloff Law?
Yeah.
You ever seen that one?
I have.
Okay. So if you read the fine print, well, they show you on the fine print that Sokoloff Law is licensed to practice in this state.
Mm-hmm.
So what'll happen is, say the state is Mississippi, Sokoloff will, or whatever law firm, will advertise in the surrounding areas, and then they will partner with
attorneys in that area. Right.
Right. So in the end, you might have 20 law firms or 30 law firms that have to get a piece of that pie, depending on the work that they've done. But like you said, the class, depending on the class, that is going to determine how much each claimant gets. So if you have a $30 million, say you have 30 or $100 million, right? That settlement, but you have 100 million people.
Then you get $3.
No. So that's what's going to determine what's paid out. Because I remember we had for AT&T, we had this class action.
I got my $7. Yeah.
But I think I got $1 and some cents.
I got $7.
Right. It depended on something. I don't know what the rubric was for how much you get, but I know everybody got a different amount of money. Because another handyman got what, like $3?
Something like that. I think it was how long maybe you were AT&T. I don't know.
Maybe you were a client. But
look, speaking of settlements real quick, I'm going to wrap up with this, right? Becky and I, we said it a few episodes ago. We watched that Sandra Bland case, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you guys here and the people listening as well, definitely chime in. Let's start with you, Becky, because you haven't really said much today.
Becky's stuck.
Now, you have a family member, right? Let's say it's me, okay? And I get gunned down by the police, by Orleans Parish, because Jefferson Parish would never gun me down. But Orleans, on the other hand, okay, I get gunned down by the police, right? I was unarmed. It was like a routine traffic stop. Asked me for my license and registration. I reached for my registration, got shot. Okay. Now, mind you, I have a dash camera, and I do recommend that everyone listening, dash cameras are not expensive and they're not hard to hook up. Like one of our friends just recently got a ticket, and had that nigga not ran his mouth, he would have beat it. He got a ticket for having his windows tinted too dark. Mm-hmm. But on the ticket, it said it was his windshield, which is not tinted. This Negro gonna ask the cop, can you explain this to me? And the cop saw his mistake, took the ticket, and rewrote the ticket for the right windows. Should have shut your mouth, bruh. What we always say on Black Law and Legal Lies, don't talk to the police, man. But okay, right. So routine traffic stop. I get gunned down. I was unarmed. There's dash cam audio and footage that shows that the police were clearly wrong. Police gets acquitted because I made a sudden movement or whatever
and he
they use.
Feared for his life.
Whatever their excuse is. So you go to, I guess, what would it be? A civil lawsuit?
It would be. Wrongful death.
Would you take the settlement or would you fight that shit to the end? Win, lose, or draw?
If I have I think the damning evidence right there, I would take it all the way.
Okay, but with no guarantee that you're actually going to win. You're still fighting, and they offered you millions.
You'd probably slap me for not taking the money.
My ghost will come up out my grave and slap the piss out you.
Honestly, I'm with Becky. Even if in the end, and I don't even have to have a smoking gun.
Mm-hmm.
Because regardless, I'm in this not for the money, because no amount of money is going to bring you back.
Right.
You know, whether I get...
But the amount of money will make the pain.
But I'm saying the pain is not going to lessen with the amount of money either.
The comfort, you can cry in a nicer house.
Honestly, the whole point of taking these people to court is to get this information out there and to try to shed some light on what they did. So I'm not about to settle anything. I'm going down. And in the end, if I don't get a quarter, if I don't get 10 cents, I still feel like I've been vindicated or it was justified, because my purpose is to show that these son of a bitches did something wrong.